across the galaxy, where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
What a ball for Ricky Peach.
Views across the galaxy. Keep on nagging, guys. Your six-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
I mean, do we really care about that intro anymore? Then we're going to change that because that doesn't.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. Anyway. Oh, wait, it's not this one.
We suck and suck and suck.
It is that one. We suck. We suck.
We suck.
We suck. We suck. We
Suck.
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 Suck, suck, suck. The
It's
2025 LA Galaxy. Whatever. Welcome to News Across the Galaxy, where we talk all things LA Galaxy. I am your host, Bryant Lobos, and tonight joining me, Mr. Edgar Zuniga. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm all right, man. I'm already in LA King season, and guess what? They also suck.
Everything. Well, not everything LA sucks, but
No.
at least the LA Galaxy do suck. A team that doesn't suck in LA is the world champions LA Dodgers. They are back in the World Series. Edgar, the floor is yours with this one because you're more of a Dodger fan than I am.
Yeah, no, it's really strange watching how the Dodgers are doing right now, because for at least throughout my lifetime, the Dodgers have always been very competitive, but they've either been their worst enemies or they've just run up against teams that are going through a very dynastic era themselves. And I'm talking like I've been a Dodger fan since like the early 80s when my family moved here. And so since I was a kid, I was always like, man, I really wish the Dodgers win the World Series. And then they won in 88 and I was happy. And I had no idea it was going to be 32 years until they finally won the World Series again, which was in 2020. Um, but since then, my God, they if anybody beats them, they go and buy that team's player. I'm like, damn, you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a hostile takeover. I mean, and some people have complained that Dodgers are ruining baseball, but the thing is that a lot of the players that they get, they're not just good. They're good people. They're like they're fun people. Like they're humble. Like Shohei Ohtani, for example. You
Yeah,
know,
I
they're
was gonna
like
mention
all
that.
good teammates. And it's funny because like a month ago, a lot of people had written the Dodgers off. They're saying like they're not going to repeat. There's no way they're going to repeat. Their teams look too good. The Phillies look strong. Um, the Blue Jays look amazing in the American League. And then here they are. They just swept the Milwaukee Brewers, one of the best teams in baseball. And the Dodgers look unbeatable. They're all healthy. My God, they could go back to back for the first time in team history, which is amazing. But yeah, in a year when LA Galaxy has been absolute trash, and the Lakers like seem to be stuck in LeBron mode, and the Clippers seem to be just a retirement home, and the Rams and the Chargers are just doing their usual, circling in the lake. The
Yeah.
Dodgers are just out there. So if you're a Dodger fan, celebrate. It's not over yet, but we're heading there. And if you're an LA Kings fan and you're a Galaxy fan too, then you know what to expect for this LA Kings season. Just hang in there, because
Yeah.
damn, it looks bad already.
I think I mentioned this before in the show that this year was my first ever Dodger game that I went to. It was on promotional night for One Piece, which is my favorite
Straw
anime.
hat, baby.
Yeah, and the best anime ever. And it was fun. I actually enjoyed it. I'm not big on baseball like that, never have been. But going to the stadium and actually watching a game, it's pretty cool. And it's something you can enjoy with friends, even if you're not into the sport. It's a good vibe. Except for the seats. The seats sucked. They're all
Dare
old.
you.
They're all old. The
How
stadium's pretty
Dare
old,
you.
right?
I grew up in that stadium. I
Those
can't
are-
afford to go in there anymore, though, but I did grow up in that stadium.
Yeah, and I do have a 2024 LA Dodger championship shirt. Shout out to my homie Eric who got that for me for being the first timer at the Dodger game. So that's pretty cool. So I'll probably rock that while watching some baseball, even though I don't know shit about it like that or that invested in it. But hey, it's fun. It's fun. All right, do we really have to get into? Oh well, I guess we do have to get into it.
No, look. The way I see it, the way I've seen it for like the last 3 months,
Yeah,
the game is secondary. Just being at the stadium to me is like, it's the main thing, right? And then you're like,
yeah,
oh yeah, there's a game, and you got to sit there and watch the game, and afterward, you go and hang out, and you forget about the game. You just hang out with your homies.
yeah. So
But
what was the vibe for you before the match? The tailgate, the ambiance, talking to people. What was their reaction to it being the final game of the season?
it's so odd. What a difference a year makes. I know we've said that so many times. What a difference a year makes, but uh, the parking lot wasn't as packed as I thought it would be. There was some tailgating going on, but not as much as 6 months ago, right? When everybody was there's still some buzz hanging, on the team. No, this was like all the excitement of a team. Like if LA Galaxy had not won MLS Cup last year, and this team had been mediocre for the last 11 years, that's the kind of vibe that was in the parking lot before the game. That's what it felt like. So it just goes to show, what such a horrible season can do to the energy and the fans. But the tailgating was still amazing.
Yeah,
One of my best homies, Chava, my buddy, have known since the fourth grade. Right, it's a long
hell
ass time
yeah.
ago. He put together an amazing tailgate. He does it once a year, and we had, oh my god, the food was delicious, riblets and pollo asado, and then after that, the Inland Empire G's had invited me to their tailgate. They were having Minnesota hot dish, so I was really curious about that. I rolled over there because I had eaten so much at Java's tailgate. I rolled over there, and I was there hanging out, and um, it was such a very excited vibe. Everybody was all happy just to hang out and be there. Like I said, the game was secondary, right? And if you watch the midweek show, I had told the Lunacy podcast guys that I was gonna go and look out for any loons I might see at the stadium and interview them or talk to them. And it just so happened this I see this guy walking by, and the Minnesota throwback kit that they have. It's really nice. So anyway, I told everybody, hey, hold on, I gotta go talk to this guy. So I went down there and I was like, hey, how are you? My name is Edgar. Are you in a rush? And he's like, no, not really. And I was like, do you mind if I interview you? I'm from a podcast, and I want to talk to you. And he's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, in fact, I was like, hey, you want to come over here? We got a tailgate going over here. We got drinks. We got Minnesota style food and everything. He's like, yeah, sure. He came over, and as he's walking over, he's like, I was raised in Minnesota, but I'm actually Mexican. So he goes, I eat Mexican food, but I'll eat whatever you have. I was like, all right. But he was really nice. He told me his name was Reyes, former Marine, by the way. So thank you for
Shout
serving.
out.
But he was really nice guy. Everybody was very welcoming of him. He went in there, he got food, he got beer. I mean, this guy, everybody just hooked him up. Um, so the vibe with the Inland Empire G's was awesome. I saw a lot of good friends there. Wow, I was hanging out there as well. I mean, if you see me, I have my Galaxy vest. This gentleman named Gilbert, he was out there handing out El Jefe energy drink, and he's like, "Man, can I take a video of your vest?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And then he handed me a drink, and I was like, "All right, cool." So if I had one, he goes, "Shout out to El Jefe," and I'm drinking it. And next thing you know, he posted an Instagram video of me drinking the El Jefe, and I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm in my El Jefe era or something." So
Your modeling career starts now.
my Jefe era, dude. I'm getting old, right? So it's un Jefe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, shout out to him. Thank you so much. He gave me some, samplers. Maybe a future NAG sponsor. Wink, wink. Didn't like that, right?
That'd be really cool. Yeah, before the match, same thing. It was mainly just to go hang out with friends. I mean, we usually hang out when it's off season, but just something that we can come together in the same venue where we could, share some memories per se and stuff like that. I think for the most part, everybody that was there was going for that reason. I didn't think any of us expected the LA Galaxy to show up and win this match, especially against a team that's fighting for playoff position wise. They're already in the playoffs, but they wanted to seed higher, and the LA Galaxy spoiled it for them, which was pretty fun to watch. You did mention some of the stuff with Connor. Shout out to Connor from the Lunacy podcast. You weren't really confident that the LA Galaxy could pull this one off.
No, but in conversations with Reyes and with another Minnesota fan I ran into during the match, they stressed to me how what a blow it was for them to lose Tanya Olawarse, right,
Yeah,
to Villarreal,
Villarreal.
because
Yep.
I mean, fantastic player, and we, as former MLS player heading to La Liga, of course, we wish him well, right? But while LAFC was loading up with Sun, right? While Vancouver was loading up with Mueller,
Mueller. Mm-hmm.
these guys are giving away their best player,
Yeah.
right? So you're like, what are you doing,
Yeah.
right? Since they gave them up, they had a record of 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses. So it's like, how do you gauge that? But here they were in the final game of the season, trying to fight for as high up as second place. And then one of the Minnesota fans tells me that Kelvin Yeboah, their other forward, he got injured in a match at Austin FC, and after that, he was done for the year. So he's gone. So they don't have like a real true focal point. That they're missing a forward, kind of like LA Galaxy doesn't have a real forward. Except in this match, we saw Nascimento.
Mm-hmm.
But so heading into the playoffs, that's not exactly the best thing for them. And it kind of showed in this match. Not that they didn't put the ball in frame several times, but um, they are lacking something that they had earlier in the season that made them one of the deadly teams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that they're going to have to address. Um, but as far as the LA Galaxy, like just to recap real quick about before the match, I took Reyes with me into the Lars area afterward, and hanging out before the game, and everybody there was cool as hell to him. Everybody was very inviting and welcoming to him. And then I did my little interview with him, and I mentioned this to you before he came on. It was kind of funny. You guys
It's
can see it on
hilarious.
Instagram
It's hilarious.
because I'm interviewing him, right? And he's all like, I asked him, did you really expect, this kind of reception from the Galaxy fans? And he was like, no. He goes, I expected people to be cussing at me, or like, or threatening me or something. And as he's saying that, um, I don't know if you've ever been on Lars, but they were saying happy birthday to someone, and like in at the end, they're all like, fuck that guy, right, for fun.
Yeah.
And then we just, as soon as Reyes kept saying like, yeah, I expected people to cuss me out, and then we hear them saying that, and we turn around and like, oh, that's not for you, that's for the other guy.
That's for the birthday guy.
Yeah, for the birthday guy. And he was just laughing. So that's the kind of vibe we had. Everybody was cool. But yeah, even on a bobblehead night, there weren't that many people, right? It was
Yeah.
a Dia de los Muertos bobblehead, which looks pretty cool. I think we got a similar one last year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just, you were missing that same buzz, that same energy. To me, it felt more like I was there for my homies and my friends, and the game was just something that was just there as like, whatever. But more than anything, I was there for my buddies.
Yeah, and then the spotting of one Roman Alessandrini, who ended up going to the match, and once a G, always a G, and you could tell that he treasured his time here as an LA Galaxy player. When he was gone from this team, he would post a lot about the LA Galaxy. Those are the type of players that you do want to have come back to the stadium and share moments, even though the LA Galaxy has been shipped for 2025. He was part. At least he wasn't part of the worst team ever, so I guess he could hang his hat on that. But anyway, before we get into the lineup, I did want to say something about the striker of Minnesota going to Villarreal. That's very big for MLS. Villarreal is a big club in Spain, and having a player from Minnesota go out there and hopefully contribute is big for MLS. So shout out to him for making the move. Sucks for Minnesota because I just looked it up. In their last 5 matches, they have 3 losses. No, they have 3 losses, 1 win, and 1 tie.
Yeah. No,
And that's them trying to go into playoff form, quote unquote.
Yeah, this was supposed to have been a playoff tune-up for them, just to get ready, get everything ready as they're going into the playoffs. And no, it wasn't meant to be. By the way, we have a super chat from Adam, and I feel really bad, Adam, buddy. You had a super chat for us in the midweek show, and we didn't see it until literally seconds
Right before
before
you
we
get
went
logged off.
off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we're like, as soon as we're getting off, right? They're like, hey, Wu Tang for life, and I'm like, oh man, there's a super chat, and then we're like, the music hit, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I feel bad for Adam, right? Because we didn't get addressed the super chat, and then Connor kind of answered the question, while we were just chit chatting afterward.
Yeah.
So, Adam, I'm trying to remember what what Connor said, but he said something like, "I expect them to rebound next season. This is a marquee team, so I think LA Galaxy is gonna bounce back better." Um, but yeah, let's hit up your super chat right now because it's the
It's
last game
important.
of the season, and
And it's something I was gonna address. And it felt emotional hearing Joe Totino one last time. Yes. Um, I don't know if this will be his last season as the voice of the LA Galaxy. I forgot what page it was, one of the LA Galaxy pages made by a fan who posted the audio of him kind of mentioning that, of Joe Totino not being sure if he'll be back for one more season. What do you think, Edgar? He is a legendary voice of this team. It would suck not to have him anymore.
this is news to me. I've been other than that, the LA Galaxy game on Saturday, I've been busy, all Sunday with my family, so I haven't really had a chance to catch up on this. So this is news to me, and if that's the case, of course it's really sad because um, this is like I said in the past. There's one sport that does a really good job of curating its history, and that's baseball. Baseball does a very good job of taking care of its history and curating it and presenting it to fans that want to know more about the past. MLS hasn't done such a good job of that. That's why I think it's so important to have MLS fan media like NAG and other podcasts across Major League Soccer. But then you have the voices that have always been there that have been an identity for the club because you talk about the Dodgers. You also have to talk about Vin Scully. You talk about the Lakers. You have to talk about Chick Hearn. And we've had so many great broadcasters here in the city of LA, right? LA Kings, Bob Miller, and so on and so on. And if you're talking about LA Galaxy, you have to talk about Joe Totino. He's Galaxy royalty, and
Yeah.
we've been blessed to have had him on the show before. And he's just a phone call away. He's always available, and we appreciate that from him. But if I mean, right now, I kind of feel like they're kind of stringing him along anyway. I feel horrible that he wasn't included in like the Apple deal. And it's not just him. When we spoke to Dave Johnson, a legendary voice of DC United, he mentioned something similar where he says he hopes that in the future, he's able to travel with the team with DC United, which he used to be able to, but now, since Apple runs all the broadcasting stuff, it's just not a thing, right? So if you want to hear Joe Totino, if you want to hear Dave Johnson, you got to tune in to the radio broadcast that they have right online. You can't just listen to them on Apple. So that's so unfortunate, man.
Yeah.
Because MLS is becoming so corporate, and I would hate for that to happen because when things go corporate, you lose touch with the people at the grassroots level, and it's so important to always maintain that commitment that I'm at a loss for words right now, but you lose something.
Yeah.
And I think Joe Totino to me it's synonymous with LA Galaxy. I would hate for him not to be there chronically in this team because he doesn't just know the team; he loves the team. He's all about this team and about the sport. And hopefully he keeps coming back. But this is on the league. This is on LA Galaxy. I hope that if he doesn't come back as the voice of LA Galaxy as far as broadcasting, he comes back in another. way, shape, or form because I would hate for him to just be cast aside.
Yeah, 100%. And I also seen a video on Twitter of a reporter mentioning the whole deal with with Apple. If you wanted to grow the sport in the United States, especially in the World Cup coming year, why would you have MLS matches on Apple? Especially when you have one of the biggest and probably the greatest soccer player of all time in Messi. Wouldn't you want to have in a more local channel, right? Like ABC, big matches where you could see Messi playing against another MLS team. So I think the whole, I mean, this is something we could discuss maybe later, but that makes sense. If you want to go to sport, you can't just leave it to Apple to, to show growth for MLS.
No, we can still talk about it now. See the whole Apple deal, and we discussed this on NAG before. We
Yeah.
discussed it before, with Chewy and Eddie, before it became a thing, right?
Hmm.
Where like Eddie's saying in the chat that Apple is global and it goes exposure, and that's great. But how do you draw in casual fans? Because you could be an Apple user and you'll see that MLS is on there, but unless you pay for it, you're not gonna watch it. You're not gonna, you don't care for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a Messi diehard on the other side of the world, and the only way you can watch him in MLS is to get that special MLS package on Apple, you're gonna do it. But the casuals, you're not gonna draw them in. I know my dad, for example. My dad, he's a casual Galaxy fan. He knows about him. We've gone to games, but he's not like a diehard. But he would still watch the games from time to time just because he wanted something to talk to me about. So he would
Yeah.
look for them on TV. They're not on TV anymore. So it's not like he's gonna go and and buy an Apple deal just to watch them. So that's unfortunate because other sports do that. Others, the NFL, you can find an NFL game any game. I mean, any day of the week, you can find them on Sunday. Well, actually, when they play the games, and then during the week, they play the games on their own network, right? The NFL network. And same thing with Major League Baseball. Yes, they all have their own deals, but you can also watch them on local TV or on national broadcasts. Same with the NHL. Same with NBA. What's up with MLS? You have the Apple deal. Find a way to get some of the local channels involved. And it's funny because some of them do make the effort. Like I know LAFC gets some of their games broadcast on through the NA or on some of the other local channels. I know LA Galaxy has some games like on KCOP, which is channel 13 out here. But it's like a game that happened like a week later, dude. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get that
but
100%. And Eddie mentions here that Apple has nothing to do with the casuals. Apple does free games in the beginning of the
yeah, but
season.
the casuals don't know that. The casuals don't know that. You don't know that.
Yeah.
Not unless you're like, you're like looking for it. Um, by the way, Mike Greer, buddy from Traffic already mentioned something about regarding Matt Pollard. I'll bring that up at some point because Matt Pollard, if you guys don't know, he's our award-winning buddy.
Shout out to the
Covers, he
GOAT.
covers Colorado Rapids, and he got into, well, he didn't get into it, but Chris Armas, who's the coach of the manager of Colorado Rapids, took exception to a comment that he made, and he really went into it with Matt, and we're like, what the fuck? You go look back and look at it, you're like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? But yeah, we will address that because that's hilarious. It's something MLS related with somebody that we really care about, which is Matt, who is Matt, right? But yeah, it's something worth mentioning. We'll address it later because right now we're just going to focus on Galaxy. But um, we do have another super chat by Adam. We could cap it off with that and move on to the game. I think.
Okay, cool. Yes, of course. Let's get some Ricky Poo chili music going. Adam, thank you once again. I remember what Joe Totino would be with Kobe Jones side by side calling the Galaxy games back when the games would be on Spectrum Sportsnet.
Yeah, those were the days, man.
Good
I
old.
mean, you don't know what you have until you lose it, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's get into this match. So the LA Galaxy in the last 5 matches have 3 wins and 2 losses. This match against Minnesota lined up as follows. At goal, Novak Mikovic. Your 2 center back pairings, Maya Yoshida and Miro Garces. Out left, John the Rock Nelson. Outright, Mauricio Cuevas. In the midfield, yeah, Diego Fagundes, Edwin Cerrillo, and Elijah Winder. Ooh, Elijah Winder, bro. He's impressive. Up top, you have Joseph Paintsil, the Nasty Man, Mateus Nascimento, and outright Gabriel Peck. Did you have any problem with this starting lineup?
No, I think it's the best lineup you could put out right now. I was kind of hoping to see Rindo out there, but that's fine.
Yeah.
If this is, I know, I know Yoshida signed that 2 year deal, right? And he's got another 1 year, on this contract. But things happen, right? Conversations can be had, and if this was his last Galaxy match, well, they don't go out there as a starter,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's no guarantee. I mean, I don't know how contracts, with his contract would work, right? But if Galaxy decides like, hey, we know you're upset. Here's the rest of your contract. You know, see ya. You're always welcome here. Enjoy retirement or whatever your next, endeavor is, right?
Yeah. 100%. Um, for me, I like to see the kids play. The fact that Elijah Winder got another start is good for us, I guess. You get more repetitions. You're on the field with most of the starters. I'm fine with that. I mean, nothing special about it. We know the LA Galaxy was trying to avoid getting the wooden spoon, so I guess this is the best lineup they could come out with. I'm fine with that. Whatever. Here are some insights on this match, though. The LA Galaxy have scored 11 goals in their last 5 matches, haven't kept a clean sheet
Damn,
in
not
nine
good.
matches. In 9 matches. And Gabriel Peck has the most shots on target per match for the LA Galaxy. As far as the Minnesota Loons, they have scored 8 goals in their last 5 matches, ranked third away from home this season. And of course, we mentioned it earlier, Kelvin Yeboah has the most shots on target per match with Minnesota. So, Edgar. Yeah.
See, as a father of a young child, when you mention clean shits, it's a conversation that we have here at home sometimes. Was that a clean poop?
Yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
it was a clean poop.
Biggest takeaways from this match, Edgar. For me, it has to be the fact that Nascimento was able to get on the board. For one, on the goal, I don't know if you were able to watch the replay on that. The way that he struck that ball, it was kind of a hard ball. How he hit it to put him back in the net, it was impressive. A player that we're going to need next season. I don't know if the other Galaxy is going to actually buy into his contract because he's on a loan.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if we don't, because I see stuff in him that could work with this team, especially when you have Ricky Puig coming back next season and a full healthy roster. So seeing that kind of it gave me hope for next season. So I was kind of impressed with that. Another thing I was impressed with in this match was Elijah Winder. Once again, he had the assist to the Nasty Man himself. He had the assist and didn't get marked for it because Paintsil missed the initial shot, but he put Paintsil through for that second goal. And it's little things like that with the young kids that I wanted to see more, knowing that the other Galaxy wasn't trying to play for much. I think after that Toluca match, I was more convinced that the LA Galaxy should put in the kids. Cuevas, you put in. I don't know how Alda's doing right now, actually. Let me check. There is a little injury report here. He has a muscle strain still. So there's that. Isaiah Parentes on a suspended red card. Lucas Sanabria still out. And, of course, Marco Royce and Ricardo Puig are out for the season. So those are some of the good takeaways I took from this match. Anything else that you probably saw that was impressive to you?
They won, but here's the thing, right? From 1 week to the next, I know a lot of people going into the match against Dallas, they were like, "Well, at least we know we could win something, right? We could win the wooden spoon just for shits and giggles, right? At least something
Yeah.
that we could laugh about, and we have something to commemorate this horrible season, right? Just the wooden spoon, and then the Galaxy was like, fuck the wooden spoon, and they won. They beat Dallas, right? You're like,
Yeah.
all right then. I guess we're not getting the wooden spoon because it came down to DC versus Atlanta. And then we're heading into this match. We're like, hey, you know what? If Minnesota wins this match, that allows Minnesota to leapfrog LAFC and get better, better seating heading into the playoffs. And everybody was like, and at least the vibe that I got from people was like, if we lose this match, that's all right. It's okay. We know we're not doing anything. So if they lose, that's okay. And then Galaxy was like, hold my beer. Let me go ahead and win this game and help LAFC. And that's exactly what happened. And especially if you were watching what was going on in Denver, my God, a lot of stuff happened in Denver, right? So the Rapids take the lead late in the match, literally like in the 87th minute, and in the 90th, LAFC ties the game. And not only did it knock the Rapids out of the playoffs, but it helped LAFC, get a better seeding and coupled with what was going on, here. And that's the kind of drama you expect on decision day. And well, we got some of it. So
Yeah, like you mentioned before we went on, we can't even win right, and we can't even lose right.
nope.
I mean, well, to be fair, to finish the season with two back-to-back wins, I mean, that's something, right?
Yeah.
Seeing that we've had such a bad season, to finish the last two matches at home with W's, you know, I'm okay with that. Like David Ray mentioned in the chat, the Galaxy qualified for CONCACAF and avoided the wooden spoon.
Yeah.
But you helped LAFC. That's crazy. One thing that kind of surprised me was that the LA Galaxy won. Well, I guess that Minnesota didn't win this match. You would think that them going into playoffs, wanting to have, what is it? Be ready for the playoffs, and to lose to the worst team in the league.
Well, we're not the worst.
I mean, not no more.
You know what's fascinating to me, dude? That this team was shit from day one.
Yeah.
I know we're throwing the word shit around a lot, but because it's been a shit season. So if you have the kids, I mean, it's Nag After Dark. What were you expecting? It's like Adult Swim. Okay, but the kid, the kids should already be in bed. So
Yep.
so yeah, it's been a shit season, right? And so this team has been in last place since day one when they lost to San Diego. And literally on the last day of the season, they managed to just creep up right past Kansas City, who's had a worse season, I guess.
Yeah.
And we don't finish in last in the West. We definitely are not going to finish last overall. I think Galaxy is like 4 places above everybody else. But what a weird season, man.
Yeah. 100%.
But yeah, no, I mean, like we said, the game was secondary, right? We already know Galaxy won the match. Nice goal by Nascimento, and then Pinto gets that weird goal, right? Gets a Winder with a nice pass. Pinto gets in there, hits the post. The ball just happens to carry him back to him, and he knocks in, the rebound. So that's positive for him. And then there's that question that looms about Mateos Nascimento for do you bring him back or not? Has he done enough when he first joined the team? And this is something we want to ask anybody out there who's listening to us right now, especially in the live chat. Uh, would you keep Mateos Nascimento? Has he done enough?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you feel that he's too injury prone? Because when he joined the team, he came in injured, and it took him a while to finally get back to match form. And then it took him a while, like all the newcomers, Sanabria, Winder, Zanka, to really get accustomed to Vanny's system. And like we said, like we heard Winder mention just last week, that it took him almost the entire season to finally get Vanny's system and really understand it. So what do you do? Would you bring Nascimento back? I know it's a conversation that we've heard also. At least I've heard it on Corner of the Galaxy, where it's like, do you bring him back? Do you take on another project for next season? Or do you say, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for your service. You did a lot for us in a lost season. And then you go out and find yourself a tried and tested forward that you won't need to train or work with, somebody who knows how to score, when the ball gets to him in the 18? That's the question. What do you think, Bryant?
So this is where I'm divided because on one hand you do want to bring in a let's say a top goal scorer. Let's say it's Lewandowski. You're not going to reject Lewandowski, but as you mentioned right now, it took Nascimento a whole season and Winder a whole season to get into Vanny's system. What makes you think that a new forward coming in is going to get it the first season as well? At least right now, with the age of Nascimento, he's still young and he recovers fast. If injury is a topic of concern, he's young. They bounce back like nothing. Uh, but on the other hand, you had this 2025 season, the worst LA Galaxy team in history. Wouldn't you want to come back next season and bounce back, at least make the playoffs? Maybe not win a title, but be in contention for a title. So I don't envy whoever's in the front office making those decisions because they're going to be tough this upcoming season. The only thing that we can guarantee is that we're going to have a healthy Ricky Poos, and that's a good thing for us because we've seen what it's like without him on this team. So we'll see. Something we can definitely circle back to when it comes to the signings and who they're going to go with.
Yeah, but that's another thing as well. It's a conversation I had in the Lars section last night. I mean, Saturday night. Yeah, last night, right? Last night during the match, where I can't remember who it was, but this person was saying, "I can't believe that just one player would have this much of an impact on the team because it shouldn't just be one player, and it isn't, right? It's more than that. It's like a series of situations and injuries and I don't believe in luck, but just bad luck, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned right many times before and trying to explain to guest podcasters or when I'm a guest on a podcast, what went wrong with this season. And it's like, well, everything that could have gone wrong actually did go
Yeah.
wrong. And we joke about that being Murphy's Law, but this is a situation where it really did happen. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. A lot of mental mistakes, a lot of, bad positioning, players that weren't healthy. You're missing key pieces. Players that you brought in, you expect them to have immediate impact. They didn't because it took them an entire season to learn the system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest difference, by the way, between LA Galaxy and a Seattle Sounders, a Columbus Crew, and you can name other teams as well, right? Where people are saying, why couldn't our guys, the new guys coming in, acclimate to the system? Maybe that's just the way Banny's system is. It's difficult to get used to because Seattle, Columbus, these are teams that that have the same system, the same mentality, all the way down to the academy level, so that when you bring up these players through the academy, through the the U17s, the U20s, and then up to the senior squad, to MLS Next Pro or whatever, they know what the system is like. And we've had this conversation with Cameron, who covers the Sounders before, where yeah, you take a player, right? Let's say somebody in the senior squad gets hurt. You take a player who's either a substitute or somebody from the next club down that's in the system, and you plug this guy into that position. He understands what his role is going to be. He's not going to do it at the same level as like a level A starter, but he does it, well enough where it doesn't feel like a huge drop off in quality. And that's something that we don't see with LA Galaxy, at least in something that hasn't been implemented well. And it's something I hope that the team addresses going forward because you want to have everybody on the same page as they're coming up through the academy so that when somebody goes missing, in the senior squad, you could take somebody from here and plug them in and you don't miss a step. Yeah, it won't be as good as you're the main guy, but at least they'll come in and fit in accordingly. And that's the big thing about bringing in young players, because I mentioned Zanka in there, but Zanka, center back. The most important thing about playing center back is developing a good relationship with your fellow defenders and the goalkeeper, and everything else kind of works out, right? But if you're like a midfielder or forward, that's different because especially young guys like Sanabria, Nascimento, Winder, they have to understand the system and like really lean into it and learn it. Older players like a Billy Sharp, for example, these
Mm-hmm.
guys, they know what to do. They've seen it, they've done it. They're just saying, okay, what do you want me to do? Okay, I've done that before. Here I am. Just tell me where to go, coach. And
Yeah,
boom, immediate impact. But younger players, they're still learning. And so for them, right, to have gone through a system, especially, the South Americans, who come up through these academies and they learn to play a certain way. And suddenly you're asking them to do something completely different, something that's completely alien to them. Of course, it's going to take a while because they have to relearn everything.
yeah, 100%. I'm glad you mentioned Sanabria in that conversation as well, because as you have mentioned about re-signing Nascimento, we already locked in with Sanabria, so might as well have another young guy that you could build with. Ricky's not old either. Serio's not old. Peck is not old. So these are still guys that you could have for the next 5 years. So it's going to be interesting what we do in the offseason as far as signings. Uh, for sure, the biggest concern for us to sign will be center back. We'll see how that goes because Zanka, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Um, anyway, let's get into some awards for this match. Or do you want to
Oh,
address the super chat first?
yeah, that's just a super chat. Thank you so much, man. Let's heal Ricky. Here you go. Adam, $5 super chat. Adam, thank you so much for your support, man. We really appreciate it. You keep the lights on. And everybody else who comes in for super chat, thank you so much. If I see you at the stadium, I'll give you a little quick back massage. Maybe I'll, give you one of my El Jefe drinks that I got in the garage. But Adam says the only teams I don't want winning MLS Cup are the team across town and Inter Miami. I have my reasons. Don't mind any other teams winning MLS Cup. And uh, do you want to address the playoffs now, or you want to put a plug in that for now?
um, we can address it after the awards, and I kind
Okay.
of I 100% agree with that. I don't want to see Miami win it, and of course, I don't want to see the team across town win it. For me, I'm rooting for Vancouver to win it, but we'll see. It seems like the East is, Philadelphia's kind of on a good
Well,
run as well.
we'll get into
But
that
we'll get
after.
into that. You did mention something earlier about how these teams like Columbus and Seattle have these academies that you could just kind of plug and play, basically, right? That has been one of the biggest gripes I've had with the LA Galaxy, and it's something that I've discussed with you and with Eddie. That I hated the fact that we always got to go out and get these stars and always try to make these big signings without addressing the academy. In recent years, it's finally gotten a little bit better with Mauricio Cuevas, even with Jules. You see
Ruben
Parente,
Ramos.
Ruben Ramos. It's gotten a little bit better, but it hasn't been to the level of like Seattle, right? Where
No.
they bring in a 16-year-old and he can still ball out.
Yeah.
And those are the big differences. And I hope now that we have younger players like Sanabria who are, in a 5-year contract and they're young. And if you re-sign Nascimento, maybe that could kind of shift some things in the LA Galaxy. Because as much as you want to see stars, you know what puts butts in the seats? When you win. And if you win titles, you don't need the big names. That's
Yeah.
always been my gripe with the LA Galaxy. But we'll talk about that maybe in some other episodes. All right, well, let's get into some awards. Let's start off with the Game is Off award. Whose game was off last night? The Geo Award. The Geo Award.
Damn. I'm trying to think of somebody because, like I said, I was just there to have fun with my friends. A lot of a lot of libations before the match, and then like my buddy, I said that guy I met who's a Minnesota fan gave me another drink at the stadium. I'm like, no, I don't need another one. He's like, no, please have one. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, thanks. um, as far as game is off, I can't think of one. What do you have in mind? Because
I'm going to just say Serio for getting that red. And I did put it on the notes that
well,
that's
that
going
was
to,
like what a way to end the season, right?
yeah, it's, I'm guessing it's going to roll over to the 2026 season. So
Nah, man, wipe the slate clean, dude.
I don't know what the case will be, but if it does, I mean, just because of the red, I don't think he had a bad game. I don't think any of the Galaxy players really had a bad game, to be honest. It was mostly Minnesota who crashed out and didn't really didn't step up to what they are aspiring to, especially if they want to go into the playoffs and win a title.
Yeah,
They were flat, and the LA Galaxy came out playing. So I mean, just because of the red, I'm gonna give it to Sergio.
Well, let me think. Yeah, I mean, there was like there really wasn't anybody that really stood out, and you could point to them and say, oh, you had an awful match, but yeah, Cerrillo makes a very good argument for the game is off, right? We expect so much from him, especially because at the end of the match, LA Riot Squad Lars named him their player of the year. You know,
And it was deserved. I
yeah,
100% with that.
yeah. I'm sorry, it wasn't him. It was Mauricio Cuevas. What am I saying? My bad.
Aw.
Sorry, my brain is still resetting. But yeah, congratulations to Cuevas. But no, no, fuck you, Cerrillo. No, I'm just kidding. No, Evan Cerrillo, respect, buddy. You've had a very topsy turvy season, but last night was not it. Good thing that that yellow card came when it did, because if you would have got that second yellow earlier, I think Minnesota would have probably found a way back into this match.
Yeah.
Uh, but but no, it wasn't to be for the Loons, and thankfully, LA Galaxy ends their season like that with a Cerrillo red card. What a weird year, man. Because
100%. I
yeah,
mean, if Lars were to give the award to Edwin Serio, I would have been really happy because he has been the best player this season. To me.
yeah.
To me. All right. Well, let's go to the honorable mention. The You Got Hartman Award. Who had heart in this match?
My goodness, that's a good one. I'll give it to Mitrovic, and I know there's a lot of people that are they're pretty disturbing of this because you have Pinto scored, you have Nascimento scored, Pekka had a pretty good game as well. Winder had a good game. I'm gonna give it to Mitrovic because as much as I complain about LA Galaxy not having top tier goalkeepers, he did make at least one or two really good saves in this match. There was one shot in the first half where I for 100% thought Minnesota was going to score, and Mitrovic made probably I think his best save of the season because I wish I could remember who it was from Minnesota. He came right up into the six, the top of the six, or into like in the middle of the 18, right above that area near the penalty spot, and he took a shot to Mitrovic's left, and it looked like it was destined to go in. And Mitrovic like dove hard to his left and with his fingertips made this fantastic save. Kept keeping the ball out at that moment, keeping the clean sheet. And I was impressed. I was like, "Wow, that was an amazing goal. That was an amazing save. Probably his best save of the season." And later on, Minnesota scored later in the match. I guess it kept Galaxy with the 3 points because if Minnesota would have scored then, they definitely would have tied the match later on. But he made a fantastic save in there, and he makes the argument for being the number one next season. But I 100% think LA Galaxy should go out and find a top tier goalkeeper, and maybe that'll light a fire on Novak's ass to up his game even more because you don't want to rest on your laurels if you think you're the best goalkeeper on a mediocre team like LA Galaxy. You got to keep trying to improve and get better for next season. So I think LA Galaxy needs to go and find himself someone better. And there's no shame in me saying that because I expect better. But at least for last night, he had the heart, man.
Yeah. On that goal that Minnesota scored, he kind of oopsed it in that moment. If you go back, it was like a Olympico style shot where Pereira shot it at goal, I guess, and there was a forward in front of Mikovic. He tried to make the stop, but kind of went in on his own. I guess it was an own goal. Maybe, I don't know. Project Glowstick says that the fans had the most heart for showing up. And
What
you are
fans?
right.
I mean, it was a giveaway.
all 10 of us that showed up.
For real.
All right, and now for the most prestigious award in all of MLS, the next standing player of the match.
For the last time this season.
And you guys that are watching this or hearing this later on, you guys can play along. Who was the next standing player of the match for you, Edgar? Oh wait, I didn't
Uh,
get my
your
I didn't
heart
get my
man.
Hartman. Yeah, it's Elijah Wonder. 2 assists.
Hey, Yeah.
like you said, it took him a whole season to get into the system. Looked like the past maybe 3 to 4 matches, he's had a good grip on it. Um, I'm actually excited for him to be on the team next season. Even if it's him coming off the bench, I don't think he'll start because it for sure is going to be Ricky, for sure is going to be Sergio, and then that third one is it's up for grabs in my opinion. So Elijah
You,
Winder, for me he has heart.
you know who's not excited for him to be back next season?
Hmm.
It's Eddie. Eddie is on the
He's
Elijah
a
Winder.
hater.
He's on the Elijah Winder hater crew.
Now every time that we watch him play and he touches the ball, I'm just gonna yell at him, "Ole!" every time. All right, now we can go to the next standing player of the match.
The last time this season.
Who was your next standing player of the match?
um, I'm torn between Nascimento and Paintil, but I'll give it to Paintil because I think he needs all the momentum in the world, so that
Yep,
way he makes the final 23 for the Ghana World Cup
yep,
national team. Congratulations to Ghana. They're heading back to the World Cup.
beautiful.
And I would love to see our very own Joseph Paintil rock the colors of his nation in the World Cup, so we could cheer for him. Especially because it's here in the U.S. Um, I really wish I could go catch a World Cup match, but I
That
might
ain't
have to sell a
happening.
kidney or two,
Yeah.
in order to afford a game. But who knows? Maybe a lot can change between now and then. Maybe the despot that's in office right now might decide that LA is a dangerous city and might take away our World Cup games and send them somewhere to like Montgomery, Alabama, or something. But it might happen. You never know. He already threatened Boston. He might do it to us too.
Yeah.
But yeah, for now, I'm really, hey, I went from giving him a next standing award to talking about that idiot in the White House. But no, next standing, man of the match, Joseph Pinto.
Yeah, I have to agree with you 100% because of what you said. If he makes it to the World Cup roster, I am watching every Ghana game.
Hell yeah.
That is for sure. Especially for some reason he gets to start. I am 100% excited for this man, and I'm pretty sure he's excited to try to make the 22 final cut. So, congratulations
Hey, Bryant.
to Joseph Painsil. Yes, sir.
What if Zavaleta makes the final cut and Salvador makes it to the World Cup? Will you be cheering for him too?
La Selecta's not gonna make it. I'll just
Ah,
I'll just leave it like that, bro. I've been every time the cycle comes for the World Cup, I get my hopes up, me ilusiono, and then they do what they do best and suck really bad.
well, let me join you in your misery because for the first time ever, Nicaragua made it to the final phase of qualifying, and they look to be riding high. They hadn't lost a single match in qualifying, and right now they're in last place and mathematically still in there, but I don't see them going anywhere. So, lloremos juntos.
AC, my. Before we end the show, I wanted to circle back to this because you mentioned that you wanted to kind of talk about it, and it's
Oh yeah,
Matt
if
Pollard
you
getting Chris Armas fired.
yes, yes. So obviously, a frustrating end for Colorado Rapids to end their season. They 1 minute, they're in the playoffs. The next minute, they're on the outside looking in. Um, they've had Colorado Rapids have had a very interesting journey the past 3-4 years, where at one point they were kind of like not the laughing stock, but people were really looking down on their organization. Their fans were protesting right around the time Galaxy was having the Klein Out protest. The Rapids were also having their own protests against Crunky Sports. That's who owns them, and they're saying, "Hey, what the hell? You guys are ignoring us. You're treating us like you're like a redheaded stepchild or whatever. What the hell?" And the fans protested. They actually got up and left in the middle of their last match of the season, and then conversations were had, and the ownership at least mentioned that they were going to make it a bigger effort to help revitalize the team. Well, since then, they've done a lot to try to bring the fans back. They've done a lot of initiatives. They try to bring in new manager. And they got rid of Kevin Cabral, but they've done a lot of things to try to improve the product on the field as well. And it just didn't happen, right? They had a decent enough season. It just didn't happen. They couldn't get it done at the end, and so in the press conference afterward, a very frustrated Chris Armas was in there fielding questions, and um, our good buddy Matt Pollard, who, if you're a fan of News Across the Galaxy, especially the midweek show, you know who he is. He covers Colorado Rapids. We really, we're very big fans of him. And so he's in there and he asked a question, regarding the fact that the Rapids didn't make the playoffs, and what the effect is that that's going to have, regarding the future of the club. And Armas just went off on him. I don't want to paraphrase, everything, for you. I can link the clip later on my Twitter account, but he goes off on Matt like it's Matt's fault that the team lost. And he's all like he's like, yeah, we didn't make the playoffs. We didn't. Of course, we didn't make the playoffs. Thanks for letting me know, or something like that. He sounds like a little kid throwing a tantrum, and he goes on to say, like, you guys, you Matt, and you guys in Crimson Wave, Crimson, that's their, I mean, the Burgundy Wave, that's their their website, their podcast, their print site. And he says, you guys always talk negatively about us anyway. You guys always give us negative coverage, and blah blah. He just goes off on Matt, right? And I'm like, what the hell did Matt ask you that pissed you off so much? That is so wrong, dude. And it just goes right that now the question is Armas going to come back next season, and that our good boy Matt Pollard help get him fired? Because if that's the case, bye bye Armas. Bring in somebody who really cares about the club and is going to be a better ambassador for the club. At the press, because that's not a way to talk to a reporter, right? Especially somebody who loves the club, cares about not just the Rapids but also MLS, and who he's an award-winning podcaster. He won an award last year, and we love having him on. Very smart guy, and for almost to go off on him like it's his fault, like the team is shit. No, it's not Matt's fault.
It's not. And with him saying that Matt is always talking shit on him, I don't think it's talking shit. It's just pointing the obvious and giving you the reality of what his thoughts are. And if you take offense to that, then maybe you should coach better.
Yeah, no, for real, dude. Like, I mean, the team. I mean, if the team doesn't do well, what are you gonna say about it, right?
Yeah, you can't be always happy when they're doing bad.
Yeah,
We seen it here too, right? I mean, we tend to talk a lot of shit, but because we like talking shit. But in their case, I mean, Pollard he's a very well spoken man. Like you said, he's an award winning podcaster and a writer. So he knows the sport. He knows what he's talking about. And when he breaks down everything that you're doing wrong, so that the fans know what's going on, then how are you gonna give him shit about that? It doesn't. I think he's just
yeah,
mad that he missed the playoffs.
yeah. And I said on
Which is
Twitter,
valid.
right?
Which is valid.
Yeah, in my reply, I said, there's nothing wrong with Matt's question. Should we just ignore when things go bad? We don't hear on that, right? Things go bad, we
Hell
call
no.
them out.
Things go
You know,
good
th-
and we fucking call them out. Remember when we said they're not back? We got
yeah.
a shit ton of shit
Like,
for
you're
that.
not back until you lift the cup. Okay,
Yeah.
we're back.
Well, now we're back. And now we're
And
back
then
to
we
being
weren't
shit.
back.
Now
Yeah,
we're back to being shit.
exactly. So I said, the Rapids should be glad that Burgundy Wave, which is their website, isn't just writing fluff pieces that read like Rapids PR.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the Rapids or any MLS team does bad, you got to hold them accountable. Let them wriggle uncomfortably, right?
Yeah.
Because if you fuck up, it's gonna get called out.
Yeah.
That's that.
100%.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matt Pollard, bro. That's
Hell
dope.
yeah.
That is dope. We were going to do a playoff bracket thing, but I think we could probably do it in another episode. We could probably talk about some playoff matches.
Well,
I will
we-
address some of the fast ones then. So first off, in the Eastern Conference, we got the wild card between Chicago Fire, who was in 8th place, and Orlando City. In the West, we have Portland versus Real Salt Lake. That's going to be a good match, actually. Portland Salt Lake should be good. Of course, in the next round, Philadelphia will face whoever wins from Chicago and Orlando. Cincinnati Number 2 seed is facing the Columbus Crew, who are in 7th seed.
Hell is real, baby.
That is gonna be good.
Hell is real Derby right there.
Yep. Inter Miami finishing third. They're playing Nashville SC. Charlotte, who finished in fourth, is playing New York City. And in the Western Conference, San Diego's going to play whoever wins from Portland and Salt Lake. Vancouver versus the 7th place FC Dallas. LAFC versus Austin. Everybody's going to hate watch that game because everybody hates both teams.
Damn.
The fourth seed,
Rudo contra Rudo.
the 4th seed Minnesota United, who just fell to our LA Galaxy, is going to face Seattle Sounders.
Oh my God, I have things to say about that.
That is a tough matchup, and that's how it's going to be for the first round. Which one are you most excited to see from these matches?
I'm excited to see Vancouver versus Seattle. I mean Minnesota versus Seattle because we just had Connor on right from the Lunacy podcast,
Yeah,
and um, I mentioned to him that in a recent conversation with Cameron, who covers Seattle, right? Cameron said, I asked Cameron, "Hey, what's the team that you least want to face in the playoffs?" And he's like, "Oh, Minnesota by far." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Seattle has owned Minnesota like throughout their whole history. They have completely dominated them, but this year Minnesota swept them." And so Cameron's like, "We don't want to play Minnesota. I think that they're going to be really good. I think they have our number this year." And then we talked to Connor, not just in his last show, but in the past. And we've asked them, how they feel about Seattle. And we're like, we absolutely hate Seattle. We don't want to play those guys ever. We never beat them. And they always seem to have a number in the playoffs. And he's like, that's the team I least want to play. I know it was one of Adam's super chat questions because he asked him, what teams do you not want to play? And he's like, I don't want to play Seattle.
yeah.
And guess what? Cameron doesn't want to play Minnesota, and Connor doesn't want to play against Seattle. And guess what? They gotta play each other.
First round, baby.
I guess the name that.
For me, it's going to be the hell is real. I think that match is going to be for one in the first round. You have a derby match. What a treat for MLS fans. Cincinnati, they've been doing pretty well this season, and of course Columbus, even though they're in 7th, they can always ruin your party. So it's gonna. I think that was gonna be for me the most exciting one to watch. Of course, you could watch all these on Apple TV, and the wild card matches start on Wednesday. So if you guys want, tune in. If you don't, fuck it.
Yeah, we have another super chat from Adam that which because I want to talk a little bit more playoffs before we if we put a cap on the show. But yeah, let's bring it up.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
Thank you once again. He asks, how far do you see FC Cincinnati going in the playoffs as well as Philly, San Diego, and Vancouver Whitecaps? 2 top teams in both conferences. Like I mentioned earlier, I do want to see Vancouver win the whole thing. They're a team for some reason that I can't hate. I don't think anybody in the league, unless you're another Canadian team, hates them. You've mentioned a bunch of times when we've had the Whitecaps podcasters on that they're always missing that one piece just to take them over that line. And it
Yeah.
seems that's the signing of Mueller and the whole fact that he bought into Vancouver, the club, the culture is you can see it on the pitch. And so seeing a team like that, a a happy ending, so to say, would be kind of cool to watch. And it'd be the first one too, so that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, the timing of adding Miller kind of reminds me of Galaxy when they added Robbie Keane. Also, when they added Marco Royce last season, he came in at the right time. So that'll be interesting to see how far they get. Um, a lot of people have been asking me this question regarding the playoffs, like who do I think is going to come out from either conference? I think it's going to come down to Vancouver, LAFC, or San Diego. To be honest, I would say Seattle, but in our conversations with Cameron, he says Seattle has a lot of issues that they need to address right now, and we're going to see just how vulnerable they are against Minnesota, a team that also has their own issues. Like I said, they don't have like a real potent striker up top anymore. They lost Tani, they lost Yeboah, so who's going to be scoring goals, right? Um, that's the question for them. In the East, I think this is the last hurrah for Inter Miami. It's Messi, and they're all buddies. I know Messi's coming back, right? But some of their other guys, they're not going to come back next season. So it's a nice opportunity for for that those old guys to try to do something with
I
all
hope
that
not.
talent. But they're carrying a lot of momentum into the playoffs. They just destroyed Nashville, and I really I'm gonna laugh at this, but I think Philly is gonna do a very Philadelphia thing, and even though they have the supporter shield, they're gonna choke in the playoffs. Like
Damn.
Philadelphia sports teams are want to do. Philadelphia sports teams always do that. Look at the Phillies, the Philadelphia Phillies. They had the best record in baseball this last season, and Dodgers came in there and just stepped over them. So that's a very Philly thing to do.
And the curse
So
of the cup as well.
yeah, the curse, the curse of the supporter shield, right? Um, so as far as the East is concerned, I think I would not be surprised, and this is something that I came up in a conversation with LAFC podcast because he's all like, "Hey, what do you think about the playoffs?" And I was like, "Well, this is what I think." Blah 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 blah. And then he's like, "What about dark horses?" And I'm like, my two dark horses are Chicago Fire and
Ooh.
FC Dallas.
What? FC
Yes.
Dallas. All right.
Yes, I think that they have a really good team. We caught them on a day, where they just didn't have it. But I think Dallas could make some noise, and I think Chicago Fire might surprise some people. So those are my two dark horses as far as what I think is going to come out of the East. Um, I think it might be Miami, dude, and I think it's gonna come down in the West between LAFC, San Diego, and Vancouver. I would love to see Vancouver, like you said, go all the way. And if it is Vancouver versus Miami, uh, que se maten. If Seattle somehow sneaks all the way to the end, they could have the rematch from the League's Cup, and then they can have a boxing match afterward.
That'd be kind of a cool storyline, to be honest.
So there's a lot of possibilities. But Bryant, before for us here, at the very bottom of the MLS table, in the trenches, there is no playoffs, right?
Nope.
Instead, we put together something special for all the Galaxy fans, and not just Galaxy fans, for a lot of MLS fans going through a very sad time right now. A
Yep.
miserable time. So we're inviting all of you to grab a cold one, grab some Kleenex, grab a teddy bear if you want, and join us on Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard. We're gonna have the second edition of the Wooden Spoon Collective, and we already have confirmed guests. We're gonna have Chad Smith from For the Glory KC podcast. He covers Sporting Kansas City. We're gonna have Tommy from Scarves and Spikes covering Atlanta United. And we're gonna have the guys from the Balls Round Montreal, and the legend himself, the goat from the East Coast, the
Yep.
the voice of DC United, the voice of the NBA's Washington Wizards, who's gonna join us on the road while he's in Dallas covering the Wizards, the mighty Dave Johnson.
Yeah, that's so cool. We get to talk to him. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I like those conversations. Remember last time Joe Totino joined us when we were talking to Dave Johnson,
That
and
was
they had a
awesome.
great conversation. It's so cool hearing, the older generation go through their memories. It was really cool. I'll actually post up that link because it was a really cool conversation between them. And I
Yeah.
was here producing, giggling like a little kid, like, oh look, it's two legends talking to each other. It was cool. It was really cool.
I'm really looking forward because we know these are friends that we've had on the show before, but I'm really looking forward to having they're all younger and having them get to talk to Dave Johnson. They've never had that opportunity, and just hearing them, right, who are the vanguards of MLS coverage right now as fan media, talk to one of the guys from the old guard and see what kind of conversations they have. I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, we're all gonna laugh about how shitty our teams are, right? And talk about what went wrong and what we're gonna do to fix things for next season. Because when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go up,
Yeah,
And that's
well, we'll see.
right.
In our case, it could be lower, but hopefully not.
No.
All right, well, I guess we're kind of done here. 2025 has not been the greatest year for the LA Galaxy. On paper, it is the worst LA Galaxy team that has ever graced Los Angeles, but nonetheless, six-time champions. And I hope you guys enjoyed being with friends at the stadium. You didn't enjoy the games because the team sucked, but at least having great company with you, along with you to suffer in the same park. Congratulations, you made it through 2025.
Oh, and I don't know if we answered Adam's super chat directly, but how far do I see FC Cincinnati going in the playoffs? Well, they're playing Columbus right off the bat. That is hell's real. That is their biggest rival. And, as we know in rivalry matches, everything records go out the window. So it all comes down to who wants it more. And Columbus is the old, they're a very proud organization. Are they going to be content with just letting FC Cincinnati march over them? I don't know. I think it'll be an opportunity for SC Cincinnati to show a degree of maturation that they've evolved into one of the top tier franchises in MLS. Otherwise, people are always going to look at them and say, hey, what if?
Yeah.
San Diego got everybody by surprise. I did mention that they look really good at the Coachella Valley Invitational, but I did nobody expected them to be this good. In Vancouver has everything to play for, everything to lose. It's all up to them. I really wish our Canadian friends the best. So good luck to them.
Yeah, 100%. Good luck to them. Edgar, where can the people find you?
Well, you won't find me at the stadium. Maybe on November 15th in that match against Club America, where I hear Ricky might play. But if not, I'll see you guys in February, probably at Coachella Valley. But other than that, you can find me on the internet. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram as Edgar Nags. I had that interview with Reyes, who's a Minnesota fan. Really nice guy, really nice conversation. You guys should check it out. And there's also a photo of him hanging out with Sanchez, who's president of Lars. Check that out too.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I go out, thank you so much to everybody this season who took the time to say hi, to yell out "nag, nag, nag" to me, who gave me hugs, daps, handshakes, offered me, a cold drink, whether it was a beer or a soda or whatever, who gave me words of encouragement or told me, "Edgar, you suck." To all the podcasters who took the time to chit chat, from Josh to the our two buddies from Lacuna, Rob and Ananda, and everyone else. Thank you guys so much. It's been such a fun year, even though the team sucks. We can look back at it now and say, "Ooh, the worst is over." Let's enjoy the off season. Let's enjoy some MLS playoffs, and see you all next season. At least at the stadium, because Wooden Spoon Collective is coming up. But thank you guys so much. I love all of you.
Yes, 100%. As far as me, you can find me as Bryant Nags on Instagram and Twitter. And that's about it. Yeah. Shout out to everybody who put up with this team for the whole season, though. It's been a very bad season, but we made it, guys. We made it. We'll be back next year. And that does it from here. That's the News Across the Galaxy. From Edgar, myself, we are out of here. And as always, keep on nagging and Wu-Tang for life. Let's go. On NAGn.